time being 6:30 p.m., I'm going to call to order the regular Tilton Tuesday, October 14th meeting of the Tilton Planning Board. And our first case is Planning Board Case 1414. It's a site plan review. It was a continuation from our last meeting. And Eric, I will turn it over to you.
Actually, I'm going to recuse myself. It's over on next. Maybe Bob wants to do an introduction of himself.
Hi there. You all know me from the last time, but Bob, Tilton Sports Center.
Hi, Bob.
Same guy since the last time.
And then I'm Eric. I'm the general manager of the facility up there, and I work for Bob. So we're here today for 4 things on the Sports Center. A couple years ago, Bob came in for putting an indoor sports facility into the building, and it's been very successful so far. And there was an area that had never been utilized in his 8 years of owning the building, which was a mezzanine level is what we call it, and it was an area that was originally a manufacturing area, that's the best way to put it, for industrial uses. He cleaned it up a little bit, but it was just never fully utilized. And over the last year, we've had different people approach us about utilizing that space. We've had a couple people from different fitness places, karate schools. We were talking about putting in a what's called a sport court, which is like a hard plastic sport for that. But then earlier this spring, this summer I should say, we had someone approach us about putting in a obstacle course for the world of obstacle course racing, which is you may have heard of Tough Mudders or Spartan races or Mutterellas, or even the race they just had down this past weekend. Color run is considered a obstacle course racing because the obstacle there is the color. So there's no place for anyone to train for that sport. Pretty much in New England, there's an outdoor facility in Vermont. There's one place in Rhode Island. Other than that, there's no place for that, for people to do that. So what we'd like to do is to be able to utilize that space as a obstacle course training facility for people to use. The area is about 9,600 square feet, and we would utilize half of that for the obstacle course. The other half of that would be more of a traditional fitness center focusing on weights. It wouldn't be like a Planet Fitness where you come in and there's 100 treadmills. We'll have some what they call rowers, and then free weights and medicine balls and things like that. So people, people would come in and train. We'd have trainers there, certified trainers, to do that. So that's part one, to do that. And
Is that on this drawing?
that's the drawing on. You see, it looks like a checker, like graph paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the plan on what it would do. You all have a copy of that page right
Yeah.
here.
I think it's this.
Yeah.
Does everybody else have a copy?
Yeah.
We've got plenty of
No, we have these. We have copies.
Anyone else? Sure.
So basically the right side would be the obstacles. There's 2 means of egress on that area. And then actually when Bob bought the building back in 2006, he actually had a put a second means of egress, because when that building was built, you only needed one means of egress up there, so there's two means of egress up there. And then this other side here, this side here will be where more the free weights and stuff like that will be on this side here, the more open area.
When you say egress, you're including ingress too, right?
Yeah.
In and out.
Yeah, in and out, well, you can go up and down these stairs here, or you can go up and down these stairs
So
here.
ingress and egress.
Yeah. We've had the fire department come out to double check all that, and they're okay with it. Once we finalize it, they'll come out and give us our final numbers, but based on what we're planning, you know, they said that we can have upwards of 130, either 120 or 138 people, but it's, once the square footage is calculated based on what we put in there.
Okay, so you had them out, I know initially they came out and gave you the okay, but just for the ability to get in and out of the lot.
Right, we have,
case of an emergency.
we have an
But
occupancy
you
permit
now
based
have-
on the downstairs.
Okay, but you don't have one on the upstairs yet?
Correct.
Okay, so, all right.
I have a copy of that if you need it.
Well, no, because we're talking the upstairs,
Okay.
and you don't have that yet.
No, it's just, but we brought them out there just to see what we would have to do. We have to add, two pull stations, we have to add 2 fire extinguishers up there. The emergency lighting that we had to put in was more than satisfactory. The upstairs is already sprinklered, it's been sprinklered since the beginning. It's a wet system. It actually comes from the pond that's behind the facility. That was built when the building was built.
You said there were 4 issues, can I assume that one is use of the mezzanine level, and then 2 is the dividing of the mezzanine level in 2 sections?
No, it's gonna be open, it's all open,
Okay,
it's all open, it's,
and it will be divided into the 2 sections, one with the obstacle course and one with the fitness board.
yeah, it'll be a line basically of nothing there, just the way we position some of the obstacles and some of the
Okay.
equipment. It's not gonna be, there'll be no walls built or anything like that, it's just gonna be straight, open space, the whole space will be open, so. So that is, for that part of, the building. Anything else?
You said there were 4 issues.
Oh, yeah, well, the four things that were here before the board for. The second one is an expansion of our hours. When the sports center was approved, one of the restrictions placed upon us was our hours of operation from 8 in the morning until 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday it was till 7 p.m. In the world of exercise, 8 a.m. is not a feasible start time for us, so we'd like to start a little earlier. Most places tend to start in the area at 5 or 6 in the morning. We're amenable to 6 in the morning, but 5 a.m. as an opportunity. And then what we found in our first year of operation was that the 9 o'clock restriction for us, it was, other than we sold out of time, that we couldn't go past 9 o'clock when we had a demand for it. So we're asking for an hour to change that till 10 o'clock. And most of our,
For how many days?
preferably 7, but we can still live with a 7 o'clock, not a 7 o'clock, but maybe an 8 o'clock restriction on Sundays. Keep in mind that our busiest time of the year is coming up. It's from late October into early April. That's our peak demand for our facility. And that's when most people do have their windows closed and things like that, so noise issues aren't terrible. And I do remind the people that are there late that we do live, with neighbors, and ask them to, respect the speed limit and noise of the other neighborhood. So, as best of my knowledge, I haven't had any complaints. I communicate with some of our closer neighbors, and I haven't had any concerns. The one neighbor, the closest neighbor to us outside of our immediate butter, His biggest concern is people racing up into Sanderson. But he actually likes our people because they slow down and force the other people to slow down a little
I was
bit.
gonna say they're gonna hit the dirt.
Yeah,
They go too
when they get to the top of, bottom lane, it turns to dirt in Sanderson. So you got Graham, Perkins, and I always forget the other one.
Philbrook.
Philbrook, thank you. I always forget that one.
Eric, what do you want to expand your hours to, from 5 AM to 10 PM?
5 AM to 10 PM.
And Sunday 8.
And we can move this Sunday being 8 o'clock. Basically, 1 more hour each night, and then opening, hours in the morning. We anticipate probably about 20 people at a time using that early, based on what we've found from interviewing trainers and what they get for their early morning classes. They usually get, the ones that have it at 5, they get like, on a good day, they'll get maybe 10. So it's almost not worth it to open that early. Those are usually people that have to travel a long distance to get down there, or to work, or they try to get back before the kids, they get the kids up to school and ready for school, then they go to work. So, 6 o'clock is an ideal time for us for that. Because most of our target market lives relatively close.
So are you asking 8, 6, or 5?
Well, if 5 is too early, we'll satisfy with 6. We'll be satisfied with 6. I guess it was a negotiation time.
Well, you've done your demographics there, right? So what are the age categories of people? Are there a lot of older people in the area, or are they?
Well, what we anticipate is in the morning, we would have professionals, parents, even some athletes training in the morning. And then in the middle of the day, parents, moms, that come in with their kids, maybe in daycare or preschool or in school, stay-at-home moms, or there's actually quite a bit of stay-at-home moms in the area. I shouldn't say stay-at-home, homeschoolers, sorry, that are in the area. So there's an opportunity for them to come in. We do have a few groups that come in, and we offer open field time for those groups. There's a group of a couple hundred homeschoolers, and they use our facility for their, not necessarily physical education, but just for exercise. And some of the other schools, like Sant Bonnie School, last spring, would come use the facility for 2 hours every Friday afternoon. In the wintertime, they go skiing, and then in the spring, they usually play a sport. So they usually have 15 to 20 kids. And then we have other, we work with some churches, and we also have our leagues and things like that we run, camps, clinics, that we run. But during the day, it's that peak, the moms coming in, parents coming in, the corporate world, people coming in on their lunchtime. And then the late afternoon, it would be, again, athletes and young professionals coming in. We also anticipate in the afternoon, in the middle of the day, senior citizens coming in. We actually have someone that we've interviewed who kind of focuses on senior exercise. She actually is at another facility now, and she has, I think, what's her oldest client, 82? 88. Her oldest client is 88 years old.
Wow.
And there's another one that's a little bit further out the area, but for what we're doing, she's pretty excited about it. And what do they call it? Hormones?
No, something near this.
They're all like between 62 and 80.
All grandmothers.
All grandmothers, and she exercises with them twice a week.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's really kind of an exciting opportunity there for that there.
So if you open like at 5, is that going to disturb any of the neighbors around? Are they older people that don't get up that early?
We'll
or
open
they-
it to the public, so
Yeah.
we'll open it to the public in a few minutes.
Oh,
I think we may have some people here.
oh, okay.
And then the third part is utilizing our space as a function hall, and that came up with the issue of birthday parties at the facility. Basically, we offer a birthday party package, if you will, where you could come in with your child or a child and have a bunch of friends. They basically get free use of the field for a designated part of time, and as part of that package, we bring in pizza from Tilton House Pizza, and they get that included in their price, in their package. And that's usually up to 16 people at a time. That's what most birthday parties tend to be. Like we've had two this fall, and one was like 14 kids, the other one was 10 kids.
You just had a health conference there.
And that blew expectations away.
You
So,
know, 'cause I didn't.
yeah, and then when we had that help, we actually have the fire department, not fire department, sorry, the police department coming next week for a conference. Between 30 and 40 police officers are coming. That's
And where is that? Is that on the level?
On the lower level, we
On the
have,
lower level?
there's,
And there's no drawing for where the function room is? We don't have that?
no, and if you look at this, the parking plan, it's just about where the W is. It's in the middle of the building. Actually, hold on. I might have it there, probably.
Is this parking plan from the original application?
Yeah,
So you're not increasing the parking spots?
we are not increasing, we have, the only time we've actually filled the parking lot or anything was actually for the health conference that we had. Most of our events attract about 20 people at a time, and they rotate, when it's a soccer game, they rotate every hour. So,
And you're having how many officers next week?
between 30 and 35, I believe.
And you're not gonna have any other business going on there?
Not really, no.
Most of the time, the days are quiet.
Oh, because it says you wanna allow medical offices. You wanna have a,
We currently,
fitness center,
yeah, and
so you
again,
don't expect any business for those during the day?
we will, but it won't be more than maybe 20 people at a time, because there'll be classes, it's gonna be
That's 30, 40, 50,
about 20 people.
if you include the police officer. I mean, you don't have enough parking for
We won't
all-
be, we
All
won't
that you wanna do there, you don't have enough.
be, we won't be
parking.
open for, the fitness center won't be open when the police are there.
Yeah, but what about out when it's, after it's open in the future? You're gonna cease to rent out the function room?
Yes.
Yes.
No more function?
Birthday
Then why are
parties,
you seeking approval
because we
to
were told
utilize
that,
the facility as a function hall?
because we were told that in order to host birthday parties, we had to get approval for a function hall.
Well, birthday parties is a function.
Correct.
That means you're gonna be utilizing the function.
No, they don't use that space.
They don't use that
They
space.
use the field, and then they use the kitchen.
Actually, I have the basket full of times,
Maybe it's in the list, and they must have-
Just let
Yeah,
me,
can I-
is there any, has this changed at all from the first time you made the presentation?
No.
No.
Okay. All right.
Could I just, maybe I think it might be useful to the planning board if the applicant clarifies what he's asking for in number 3. I think Catherine hit it on the head. There seems to be a difference between birthday parties that seem to have a maximum of 20 people and other functions that have a maximum of much greater number of people. And if the planning board is gonna make a decision on number 3 tonight, I think that, my thought would be that should be better defined.
I think number 3, number 4 need a variance.
Second.
Number 4?
Number 4, when, back in 1997, there was a variance issued to the building for office space. And Bob assumed that that was all office space. And when he bought it, in 2006. He had different offices in there. There had been some other offices that were, there was a woodworking shop in there. It was mostly related to the film industry, but there were a few other there was a real estate office in there at one time. There was different things in there. And then as part of our overall plan, obviously, is to have rental in that office side of the building. And we have 4 businesses in there currently. One is an insurance agent who uses the building kind of more of a virtual office. He's located down in the Manchester area. And if he has to meet with a client in the Lakes region, he has a place there that he can meet with his clients. The other office is an embroidery office. It's a sales office only. That's actually Bob's business. He has people that call him. He's been in the embroidery business for 20 years. And he has people call him, and he outsources all of his work. None of his production work is done on site. The other offices that we have there are the 2 with the town. We met with Al. I met with Al and Dari, and we have a licensed massage therapist there. So she meets with one client at a time, and then we also have a nutritionist there who again meets with one client at a time.
Okay, now, I thought, we can go back, I thought at our last planning board meeting, it was clarified that this variance that was issued then is no longer in existence, and that you were going to the zoning board to get another variance.
We are going to.
Am I incorrect?
We are going to the ZBA next week, the 23rd, a week from today. We go before the ZBA for the 21st, thank you, for the medical side of that.
Okay.
For just the medical?
That was what I was told that we would need.
Isn't an office, an office, is an office, is an office?
Actually,
Not
according to the
according to
town,
Tilton zoning, I mean, if you look at the, sorry, to interrupt there.
it's okay. According to the Tilton Chart of Permitted Uses, there's 3 types of office space. There's
Right, but that's for the planning board to, the site plan, but an office space is an office space.
No, each one requires, they're each listed as either allowed or not allowed, and medical offices are not allowed, and a variance hasn't been granted for that line item.
Oh, I see what you mean. So
Yeah,
not all office spaces, well, no office space is allowed in that area.
right, but
And
when you
the-
look at
the-
the variance that Eric
I
mentioned.
got it in
Yeah,
front of me.
know what I'm saying?
It just says office use.
Right.
I mean, when I look at that, it says warehouse and office use, so I assume that I'm using that word, but I hate to use, the office
Yeah.
use at that time is associated with the warehouse.
And
Yeah,
I would,
With the
I would
manufacturing
say
that went
that
on at
also.
that time,
Right.
so I see where you're getting at.
Yeah.
Even though that variance is granted for that office use,
Right.
medical would not have been, okay, I
Right.
Yeah,
got
the
it.
discussion and the approval clearly didn't
It's an office, isn't an
contemplate
office, it's an
medical
office.
office.
And nor, if we wanted to operate a bank there, we would have to come back for a bank,
Yeah,
which we have no plans to have a bank.
today.
Well, not at this time.
No, no banks. A lot of woods are out there, so I don't think there's gonna be much in the way of banks coming to us.
Well, no, you got people coming for personal trainers, might come for banks. All right, I'm gonna open this up to the planning board.
Well, number 3, function hall. If you have a function hall, there's no variance for that, and that's not allowed in that area.
Well, that was based on us having meetings and things like that there. We currently only have one more meeting there, that was with the police department. And then we're gonna actually utilize that space as part of the fitness center. So it's not going to be utilized as a function hall anymore.
So we can just cross out number 3?
Number 3,
Yeah, I mean, as long as, having a birthday party where we order pizza for people is.
that's a function though, Eric.
Well, I mean, but they're on, they're,
function hall is what he says in the kitchen.
But
But
the function that's taking place, are they utilizing the indoor sports field?
Yes,
That's the main reason to come.
that's the main, I mean, what they do is they get, you run of the facility for 2 hours. You get an hour and 15 minutes on the field, and then we have a room that is set up like the cafeteria, it will have 6 round tables in it, and they do, usually the parents bring in, cake or cupcakes and things where sometimes we, as a suggestion, sometimes for the older kids, they bring in food in for the local food pantry, and we donate that to one of the food pantries in town, and they open their gifts there, and they have pizza. We get them 4 pizzas. Sometimes they get 5 or 6 pizzas, depending on the number of parents that hang around. Generally, it's, the package is 16 kids. This works out nice math.
16 kids or 16 people?
16 kids is what the party's for. But
So you have
sometimes,
a catered event. You're bringing in food from the outside.
The parents usually bring the cake in. We're not ordering.
when you order pizza though sometimes,
yeah,
For them.
for them,
no, I know,
yeah.
It's a catered
it's a
event.
catered event. Yeah.
It's not allowed there.
Okay, any other comments?
I'm not excited about expanding the hours of operation in the residential neighborhood.
I'm not either, but.
And I'm very concerned about parking.
I'm very concerned about parking as well.
I experienced it when I was at that function. And it was interesting.
When we had that organization approach us, we were told it would be no more than 50 people, which we have plenty of parking for that. And we had, the day that before they came to set up, they said, oh, there's about 75 people on our list. So,
But I think as long as you're opening it up for different meetings, you're gonna always run that risk. Because people pre-register and they don't, always know until the last minute how many are going to do that. They're probably giving you an average. I guess one of the things I'm not comfortable with is that this is what we got when you first opened up, and things have changed drastically in terms of the parking spaces, in terms of hours. Did you do any redrawing of the parking with these additional functions?
no, as I said, that one function was the only event that we've had that has come close to utilizing our full parking capacity. And we are, with this new change, we are not going to be doing any more of those type of events outside of the one that we have with the police department next week.
But yet you're expanding your use with the medical offices and the other offices you're proposing having in there.
Well,
And your fitness center and your
those,
sports field.
the fitness center will have maybe 20 people at a time in there.
That you're projecting, but you don't know.
Well, that we set class sizes. We set
Okay,
class sizes so
so how
that
many people come for the sports field?
about, well, each team would have about 10 people. So there'll be 2 teams playing at a time.
And what if there was a conference that same day?
We wouldn't,
This is-
we
we're
wouldn't,
not
we
gonna
wouldn't
have
book
those
a
anymore.
conference. We wouldn't, if, one, we're not offering them anymore, but if we did, we wouldn't have anything else going on.
On your website,
Currently, you
you've got a
can't.
lot of office space that you're still attempting to rent, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But it's all,
So, you're saying that you have enough parking space for what you have now going on now?
We have more, we
But
have more
if
than
you
enough
rent
parking.
the office space that you have on your website available, that's gonna present issues, is it not?
I don't think it will, because most of those businesses are gonna be operating between the hours of 8 and 5, and those are not our peak times.
You're also not allowing for people coming and going. You have, let's say you have a full fitness class, you have a full sports field, and now you have the next set coming, and those people
Well,
haven't left yet?
The peak
How are you
of,
gonna
the
do
peak
that?
of, the peak of fitness is between the hours of 6 and 8. Our first soccer game doesn't happen until 9 o'clock in the morning. And then in the evening, the peak of the fitness time is from 4 to 7, and our games really start around 6 o'clock.
Your hours of operation are from 8 to 9.
Correct, but just like with
And
any
you're making
business.
the assumption that everything is going to be what the peak hours are, and not allowing for any
Well,
fluctuation in everything.
we control the schedule, we control when things happen. And I do book things with, you know, parking in mind and things like that, and, you know, trying to be considerate of the neighbors, and, you know, not trying to make it so there's a line of cars at any one destination, if you, I don't know if that's the right word, but at the stop sign.
The health conference is a perfect example. How do you control that? You couldn't stand there and say, okay, we've got enough people, the rest of you have to leave.
No, but you know, we were outside.
So if you have people coming to watch the sports games, which takes place, I've
Yeah.
been one of those spectators before,
Yeah.
and I brought people with me to watch, so.
But you're
Even
still
though you-
coming in one car, you just said you brought people with you, so you're bringing
Oh,
one
no,
car.
we didn't come in one car, came from different places. But
A lot of teams piggyback, they, you know, carpool. It's not like one person, one kid comes up all the time. I know my wife brings kids up there. And she'll bring half the kids from the neighborhood who's over on that team. She'll bring 3, 4 kids, and that's one parking spot. That was an exception at the conference, and we didn't expect that. They apologized to us, and we knew we'd come to this, and we'd hear it, but we've never had that many people in that parking lot ever. And the one, in the changeovers you mentioned, yeah, it'll get full. There might be 30 to 40 cars.
And I'll tell you, I know I was in my truck, but I had to wait for a couple cars to leave before I could leave.
Well,
But it's just
I
where-
parked you in a spot where I thought the truck would fit the best.
It did fit, but
Yeah.
once the other cars came, I had to wait for them to leave before I could pull out.
Should have brought your tractor, then they wouldn't have trouble.
I moved them.
Yeah,
I brought that.
exactly.
All right, before I open it to the public, any more comments? All right.
Oh, I just have one more thing. I just want to let Catherine know, she had mentioned to me in passing the number of handicap spaces on there, and we are having that restriped because we are short one, and we've given that to our striper guy, is that the right word? And he's gonna, we've measured it out, and we're just waiting for him to restripe it.
That's good.
We don't lose, we actually gain a parking space out of that, because our current accessible parking spaces are actually wider than are required by the,
Your handicap space.
yeah, they're actually wider, they're wider than what are,
How wide are your normal spaces?
9 by 19.
Okay, I'm gonna open it up to the public now.
Hi, my name's Tom Mead, and I'm a butter across the street. I've been watching that property since before the warehouse actually existed. It's been in my family for a long time. We're currently building on that property. So I have a couple of concerns. As you've stated, it is zoned agricultural. And I think it's, in my view, it's important to preserve that character. And when the sports facility was before the group, we were notified, read the application, and chose not to either object or attend. My view at the time was that that was, in my mind, a soccer facility, conjured up kids, soccer moms, It did not conjure up a commercial, retail-like facility. So I was comfortable with that. It seems to me with this application, we're starting into and for it to be successful, it will need to be a more and more retail-like facility, both the medical and fitness center. So that the facility would be attempting, obviously, to attract the level of business that would sustain it, but it seems to me the character of a retail facility is different than the character of a youth sports facility. So that's one observation. A second observation, a bit related to that, is that as a consequence of the subdivision that was done several years ago, I am now the only abutter, other than the property that the warehouse facility is now, was carved out of. So in terms of what impact this might have on others along Autumn Drive, I think it's particularly incumbent upon you to take that into consideration, since there was no formal mechanism for them to be notified, other than the public notifications. So that's a bit of an aside, just in terms of how the community might be feeling about this. Another concern, as the facility changes its character, two things. One is just an observation, because I think it was perfectly within the framework of the town. I was surprised when the signage went up. Because again, in terms of maintaining the agricultural character of that part of the town, it's sort of one more level of commercial presence, if you will. So that's just my observation of what it is that I'm concerned about. We all know what Route 3 is like, and we know that an agricultural district has a different flavor. So I'm concerned about that distinction. My last comment would be a concern about down the road, a concern about lighting. So our property is going to be across the street from what is obviously a fairly good-sized parking lot. There may be some dispute as to whether it's good-sized enough, but I can foresee the need for lighting at some point, and I'm concerned about obviously the light pollution in the short winter, and that's apparently the peak season. So a combination of extending hours further into the winter dark with, I know it's not part of the application, but it's my concern, with significant lighting for a parking lot, which may be required at some point. So those are my concerns with the application. Thanks.
Any other comments? Yes.
Hi, my name is Scott Parsons. I live directly across the street. For 17 years, I was in a butter, and I was invited here 2 years ago when we had the original. And apparently now was no reason to invite me, but I do have concerns. We all sat here 2 years ago, and we discussed hours of this operation, and all parties agreed that anything beyond 9 o'clock at night in that residential area, and this is a residential area, from at least 3/4 of a mile in any direction is a residential area. And we all agreed that 9 o'clock was the limit. So I just find it interesting that 2 years later, we're now looking at expanding that 7 days a week till opening up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We all agreed that that was unacceptable. So, also in terms of what this woman said, I'm sorry, I don't know her name, it's absolutely true as far as parking goes. When you have two teams playing and 2 teams coming in. There is as many as, I can't say for exactly, but 20 cars coming in. And then you've got the whole next set looking for, in order to be on time, looking for parking spaces. So now it's really doubled each hourly change. It's doubled the number of parking spots needed. And when you add as, some other businesses, if you're talking function halls and all that, I just don't see the math adding up to having enough parking spaces. And I do agree with Tom as far as the lighting. If I noticed on that, they were looking at lighting up the parking lot or lighting up the outdoors. That's, I deal with the people leaving at night. Right now, when they light up put their headlights on, the light does come down through my property. And it hasn't been a problem, but if you allow this to happen till 10 o'clock at night and start at 5 o'clock in the morning, I just think it's a real disservice to the people in the community up there.
Comes down for your property, does it go into your house, does it
Uh,
hinder you and all?
The level of that parking lot, and there are a few trees that may, hinder it a little bit, but yes, it shines right down the hill, over my pond and into the house.
Into the house?
Yeah, it depends on which direction the person may be turning, but,
And in a couple months it'll be worse. Actually,
Yep.
in another month it'll be worse.
yeah, with no leaves on the trees.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how we can all sit here and agree, all parties, that 9 o'clock was okay. It worked for everybody.
Well, nobody's agreeing to anything yet, I didn't hear
Okay, well,
everybody
let's,
say yay, okay.
We're just listening to their plan, and
and maybe it's another group of people I should be addressing this concern to, but, being invited as an abutter from 2 years ago, I was wondering why I'm no longer.
Scott, there was no disrespect in that. I don't even understand why you're not in a butter.
Only
Hold on.
concern that I had last time we got together was hours,
Okay.
okay?
and that's what
Through-
most people's concern was
Okay.
the first time.
And now, this time, I wasn't made aware. Fortunately, I found out from somebody else that there was a meeting tonight. And I think that pretty much obvious that the number one thing was to change hours.
Nothing.
I'm sorry, if you're in a butter and you didn't receive
I-
a notification, then
I
you
did not
need to-
receive notification this time. I did 2 years ago. And apparently with the subdivision, maybe the subdivision did not go through prior to the last variance meeting.
Okay.
But I
I was just gonna say, if there was an abutter who we didn't get a notice to, then.
For
we
17
would have
years,
to
I've been getting
continue this hearing
notifications.
Anyway, and it should be done immediately if that's the case.
And
What lot number what's your address?
I'm 59 Autumn Drive. And it's my understanding that with the subdivision, the southernmost point of that property is now just a few feet above my northernmost property.
Oh, okay.
So-
So you wouldn't be notified?
If that's the law, that's the
Yeah,
law.
okay, okay.
You did ask me here 2 years because I live directly across the street and I might have some concerns.
But he's
And-
still in the area.
Nobody's moved.
Yeah.
And just a point of clarification too, it was not our understanding, or it was not mine, that the main reason for the meeting was because of the change of hours, was it?
Yeah, that's
No,
all
for
it
that,
was, yeah.
no, I-
No, but that was not the main reason we had the meeting. I mean, there were other issues too.
No, it was a very big
Okay,
point.
all right. Thank you. Any other comments from the public? I'm gonna close it and open it back up to the planning board. Any comments?
I get tons of,
I have tons of comments too, so.
That sounds
I just let
good.
other people speak first.
I have problems with parking, I have problems with hours. I have problems with the number of businesses potentially that can go in there, and I have to talk potentially, because when I go on your website, I see that's one of the main things that you're wanting to do, is to get more renters in there, and you have quite a bit of rental space available, which makes me really concerned about the parking. But those are my major concerns, the change of hours, the fact that you're in an agricultural area and all of a sudden you want to have, I hate to use the term, but I don't know what the other term to use, a booming business there, lots of different businesses there. And I think that's not the intent of that area, agricultural area, is to open it up, to have all of these different functions there. I don't think you have more land, so you can't put in more parking. If you run into a parking problem, people are going to be parking up and down the side of the road.
We have in the grassy area that if we had to, we could, turn that into a partial parking lot, and then there's also an area that we could, that's gravel.
So you are saying that you probably will
If
need
we
more
ever-
parking spaces?
I'm not saying, I don't know,
Okay.
we don't know. I'm just saying, to say it hasn't come up in conversation if we ever ran out of parking, but outside of this one event that we held a couple weeks ago, we have not had any issues with parking. We haven't had any. That taxed us, that event there, but we did not anticipate the turnout when we arranged it. We said that we were told it would be about 50 people. That's what they have attend their annual meeting. And then the day before they arrived, they told us they had 75 people registered. And, short of forcing them to cancel their event on the last minute, because we just didn't have, we parked people on the grass to avoid parking people on Autumn Drive. No one was parked on Autumn Drive. They were all parked on our property. So, we did that, but we don't anticipate hosting conferences and having events at the same time, because we are very cognizant of our parking up there. And we don't want, we don't want to be a bad neighbor. We don't want to cause any issues. The current lighting that we have in the parking lot right now, we don't anticipate changing any lighting that we have now. We currently have, on the front side of the building, we do have three lights. Two of them are on timers that we set to shut off, usually about a half hour or 45 minutes, depending on when our last event is, but we kind of set them to, I think currently they go off around 9:30. I've been up there working late, and then when I go out parking lot about 9:45, I think the lights have been off. And then they go on at that, but there is one light that is on. It's a photo cell, so it's on at dark, and it's on until sunrise in the morning. And that's just one light at the main entrance. It's more of a security. We do have lights on a couple of lights on the back side of the building, but they don't seem to, I don't know if you've seen them, just to me.
I don't think the lighting concern is just the lights in the lot and on the building. I think we're also talking about a concern about lights of traffic coming and going, because that's going to shine right on people. And we're not just talking about an abutter that we know and someone who was an abutter and now is not because of a subdivision, but we're talking about people on Lancaster Hill Road. We're talking about people on Grange Road. We're talking about people on 132. That's all residential areas, and the increased traffic, I think, could cause real issues there too as well. Because I don't think everybody is going to go right out to Route 3 or go that way out to Route 3. They're going to be going a lot of them on Lancaster Hill Road. I know when I go that area, I live on School Street. When I go that area, I come the back way, and that's why I'm always going by Autumn Drive. I don't go out to the main street to Route 3 and then out. I think a lot of people use that area as a shortcut, which just increases the amount of traffic. So I have some real concerns about the traffic. That hasn't even been brought up tonight in terms of the traffic in the neighborhood. When you talk about extending the hours of operation, you've got children who go to school in that area. There's gonna be obviously commotion if a game gets over. You know, I see some issues there too. And I also see issues that if people are gonna come in for a fitness program at 5 in the morning, they're not gonna wait till 5 to come in. They're gonna start getting there early, the traffic's gonna start earlier. Which I see as a problem
We
for
went to 6:30.
the people in the area.
Would the board be amenable if we went to a 6:30 start time in the morning and then didn't change the late night hour? Or maybe maybe they'll give us 9:30?
I think the point was brought out that in good faith, we did talk about not going later than 9 PM. And that was in good faith. And you had, and that night, that particular night, there were not just 2 people from the audience there. This room was filled with people from Lancaster Hill, who were really concerned because they didn't want to be disturbed and they really saw that there was going to be increased traffic. I mean, this is a board and I'm just giving you my opinion. Let's listen to other people's opinion. No. Kathy, you want to?
Well,
What?
I thought you were gonna say something.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
No.
As I expressed a few weeks ago, I don't believe a fitness center is the same as recreation. If you look at our chart of permitted uses, it doesn't really define them. Each one doesn't have its own category, but there is a section where they describe recreational and fitness facilities. So it is separated in here. I mean, if fitness was the same as recreation in this definition, they wouldn't separate it out. But I do feel it's 2 separate things. And not part of the variance that was granted. I'm not inclined to expand the hours of operation because we did have a lot of residences from that area here when we granted, well, we didn't grant it, the zoning board did, but when we site planned it and made the approval, and we did make a commitment to them to the hours of operation, so unless we have those people back in here, I'm not inclined to agree to that. I'm very concerned about the parking, as Jane said, so I'm not gonna repeat that, but I do agree with that, that there's gonna be a problem. And I am concerned about this business expanding in an agricultural area beyond a sports field.
Madam Chairman, am I allowed to make a comment at all? I just wanted to read a definition that comes from the American Planners Association definitions book. It's a recreation, commercial indoor. It's a recreation facility conducted entirely indoors for commercial purposes, with or without seating for spectators and providing accommodations for a variety of individual organized or franchise sports, including wrestling, soccer, tennis, volleyball, racquetball, handball, bowling, skating, and ice skating. Such facility may also provide other regular organized or franchised events, such as children's amusements, dance studios and instruction, music schools and instruction, martial arts studios and instruction, skateboard facilities, trampoline or gymnastic facilities, large health and fitness facilities, swimming pools, snack bar, restaurant, retail sales of related sports, health or fitness items, and other support facilities. The occupants that are currently in the building are support for what we're planning. You know, we're not, we're trying to focus, you know, certain.
An embroidery office, an
That's
insurance office.
It's a sales office, just, it's a,
But you're offering rental space and you're not specifying what kind of business it's going to be. I mean, and are you going to be able to, I wouldn't think you would be able to say to somebody, well, we can't rent to you because you don't go in with fitness. I have real concerns about that because As I say, you do have some, you've got 3 floors of space, right?
Two,
Two?
two floors.
The third floor is unfinished, it doesn't make sense.
It's like an attic.
Like it'd be storage, if anything, for us. It's, the other business that we have there are, you know, they meet one person, and the bulk of their business comes between, as I say, 8 or 9 in the morning and, you know, 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
And I'd like to get away from the definition that you read. I'm not so much concerned about defining what's what and what fits into it. I'm more concerned about the numbers of people who are going to be there, regardless of what you want to call it, and the parking space that's available, and also about the hours. You know, I don't see anyone, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see anyone in the town of Tilton envisioning turning our agricultural area into a booming industrial type complex. And that's what I see this becoming, is almost an industrial kind of operation. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it appears to me. And that concerns me, because I do not think that that's the charge that we're given as the planning board. We're to protect the taxpayers in the town from preventing this sort of thing from happening. But that's, again, my opinion as a member of the planning board.
I think if they want to go forward with approval for a fitness center, it needs variance.
Definitely we need a variance. You want to use it as a function hall, I think you need a variance. You say you're not going to use it anymore, but you're going to continue to have parties that are catered. I see that as a function. And I think we need a variance from that. I think we need to see something in writing from the fire department saying that the second floor is safe and meets all of the requirements. I'm not inclined at all to go along with the change of hours.
What is the current occupancy of that building,
Of which building?
your building?
Well, we have the sports field,
Oh, no, from the fire department.
From the fire department.
715 people.
I'm sorry. That's what the fire department said you could have in there?
That's a copy of our occupancy permit. It's based on square footage.
That's including employees, anybody else?
No, I'm
I
interested
can tell you that we don't anticipate ever having.
in the second floor and the exit. You know, you talked about you need additional fire extinguishers. We need something in writing from the fire department saying you meet those. But, Juliet, you wanted to make a comment?
No, I just wanted to say that I'm not concerned with the definition, and I'm not all that concerned with the parking either, just mainly the hours. I think that's, seems to be where we should focus, is the hours, keep it quiet enough in the neighborhood.
And I might
I'm
add
not
that
even-
she's very close to your location. She's not in a butter, but
I'm
she's in the
around the
area.
corner, yeah. And I apologize for being late, I had to work, so.
That's why I asked, what people live there? Were they school-age children? Were they elderly people that were gonna disturb at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning,
All of the
or
above.
10 o'clock at night, or?
Well, my concern with the early morning hours is kids waiting at the school bus stops in the dark.
That's right, 'cause it is dark.
And I don't know, but I suspect that some of those side roads that the children have to come to the end of the road. I say that because I go along Lancaster Hill often, and I see parents parked waiting for the school bus to let their kids off in the afternoon. So I suspect that you may have a lot of children being brought to the end to Lancaster Hill to catch the bus. And that's definitely a safety concern that early in the morning.
There is one bus that I know of that goes up in the morning and then back in the afternoon, it has one stop at the bottom of Autumn Drive, and then it goes up to that weird intersection of Mr. Moo's property.
I'm talking going the other way, going towards Route 132.
Lancaster,
Yeah.
kids have to come down.
Because
Scenic. The bus
I
doesn't go up Scenic.
had a meeting on Grange Road today, and I went up that road, and there were cars at two of those roads, and I don't know which roads, towards the end of Lancaster Hill, waiting for kids to get off the
Yeah,
bus.
Dunlop,
It wasn't Dunlop, it was the other side, it was the,
coming out of the trailer.
and then I
park.
think there was Jacob, there was somebody waiting at Jacob
Coming out of
also.
the trailer park. So what do we do with this? Continue it and see what happens at the zoning board?
What exactly are you asking the zoning board for?
Medical offices.
The ones that are there or future ones also?
The ones that are there, and then if we get anyone that wants to talk to us about renting space.
sports related, it's not like, you're not gonna see a doctor's office up there for kids going in and out. It's not, I don't think it's that type of place, it's more, we thought more sports medicine type. Tweak an ankle or something like that.
Therapist or.
A therapist maybe, yeah.
Or a chiropractor, I think that was mentioned at one point.
What's that?
We don't have a chiropractor.
I know you don't now.
Oncologist?
We never had that.
So I think if they're gonna go forward with the fitness center and, function hall, we should add that to the list of the zoning board.
Darn.
So the code enforcement officer is the party with the authority to determine what variances they need. He's determined that within this existing application, the only thing that needs a variance is the medical office. I will say I agree with him. If the planning board doesn't agree, perhaps an avenue would be to either have a conversation with the code enforcement officer or file an appeal to his administrative decision. But I just want to remind the planning board that, discussion is fine, but I don't believe it's within the board's authority to direct the applicant to seek additional variances.
Well, then we just simply tell them that it's not allowed in the area, and they
That's
can
all
do whatever
we
he
do.
wants.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a motion to continue this case until after the meeting with the zoning board on, what's the date again?
The zoning board is the 21st, and the next planning board meeting is the 28th.
Continue it until the 28th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Function hall and fitness center, they're going for medical offices. In 1997, there was a variance granted that says offices, this is warehouse and offices. It's not really defined,
Yeah, I would assume that was, again, I don't like to use that
but I
word,
think it's
but
associated
I
with the
would have thought
warehouse
it would be
operation.
the operation for the warehouse also. I wouldn't think it would be for other offices to be brought in, or to use to rent
Beyond what-
office space beyond.
But my question is, if they're going for medical office with the zoning, what about the sales and insurance office? What
Well,
is
the
that
medical
reference to?
office is not allowed in
In
that
that.
zone.
But the sales and insurance is,
Well, no, nothing. Because there is that variance that allows. offices? There's an assumption being made that it's
Any kind of office.
any kind of office except what is specifically not allowed, which doesn't make any sense, really. So,
Because it was such an old ruling. What was that date on that?
you'd have to read, I think you'd have to read the minutes of the meeting.
97.
1997.
Right. I'm not allowed to speak.
Well,
It's based probably on whatever the current zoning was in 1997.
Well, didn't you say before?
sorry, probably deliberation about this case with a quorum of planning board members should not continue at this
Exist.
point. And so far, you guys have been sort of talking about not case-related stuff, so it's fine, we just.
Okay, so we'll just say no to all of it, because we
He's
don't
not
have
on.
No,
clarification.
Oh, it's easy.
this here, yeah.
Because
What's our
Eric
next
is,
thing on the
Eric has re-entered the
It's back
board.
at the table, 1414 is over for
Okay.
tonight.
All right, next on the agenda,
Thank you, have a good night.
Yeah,
We'll
5-0.
vote it down.
planning board case 14 to 15, site plan review to construct and operate a snow dump at 405 Laconia Road in the Resort Commercial District. R21 12-A. And for those of you who don't know, that's the property, Jerry Shaler's property right across from the Lochner Country Club.
Correct. Oh, okay,
Okay,
okay, gotcha.
would you like to address the board?
We take care of sites here in Tilton that require snow removal off the site, brought into other locations. We've been doing it for several years. We've been bringing it to a site in Belmont. We try to follow New Hampshire DES guidelines to be sure that there's proper berms in place and make sure that we're not contaminating water, wells. We've been taking the past 6 months or so, 6 to 8 months, searching for an adequate site, something a bit closer to where we're hauling from. We come across this site, which could be ideal for the simple reason that much of it that we would be using is somewhat of a level grade. You don't have quick runoff that would run off into water protection area, other than the back area, in which we could make a modification. If you look on the second to last page of my application,
I don't have his application, I just have pictures.
What, the guidelines?
yes,
Okay.
Yeah, copy of the application.
Does everybody have this?
It wasn't part of what was sent over the internet.
Was.
I think it was up.
Yes, it was.
Just copy them off.
It was on
I just copied them off.
It
When she
was.
sent it,
You gotta use Google Chrome, I found out, in order to get it. You can't.
Well, we got a hard copy here for you.
anybody else need a copy?
Sure.
One more? Thank you,
you,
sir.
Google Chrome. Oh,
My
gee,
first question, if this is a site plan, was the letter from Jerry.
Alex, that's what I have too. Do we have a letter, we need a letter from Jerry saying that he's all set with you doing it.
yep,
this fact sheet.
Okay?
yes,
I was gonna bring it up, but since it's brought up, then it's out.
I spoke with Jerry today. Unfortunately, it's been hard to nail him in town. So I do hope to have that. We've been working with an attorney to draw up a lease for the property. and we plan to have him and his wife sign the lease as soon as we can get them together, and which we'd be happy to share that with you. In the meantime, I may be able to get a letter having his wife sign. Who's
Well, he
part
can
owner.
box the letter for you, we don't need to see
We've gotten an email before.
our email or something.
Okay,
It doesn't have to, I mean, we don't have to have a hard copy of the letter.
a regular
Right, you can
email.
box it to,
We should have a
Yeah.
hard copy in our file
well, we will in
eventually.
our file eventually,
Yeah.
but we won't hold it up until you, because we're gonna ask you to go someplace else too, so.
Yeah, well, well, you'll have a hard copy of the lease agreement also,
He's here still.
please.
He hasn't gone to Florida, Jerry.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out of town right now.
Is he out of town?
I spoke to him this morning. It seems like every time I get in touch with him, he's either on his way out or something.
I'm gone.
And his wife is out of town this week. I may be able to catch her the beginning of next week. But I'll try and get something to you as soon as possible. I was leading you to the snow disposal guidelines, and basically, they tell you to put a silt fence surrounding the area, especially to protect groundwater, anything sensitive to surface water. Now, on the other photos that I gave you, if you look at view number 8, in which you'll find the pages we numbered, view number 8 is the one area that may pitch towards the backside of the lot slightly. That's something that we'd be able to increase, go beyond the silt fence and offer maybe a wood chip berm or something like that to offer better filtration to be sure that anything melting is being properly filtered. As you can see on some of the photos, much of the site is sandy fill that's been placed in recent years. Each of the photos that you see on these pages, you'll see on the front page, that's the view of what you're looking at from your aerial view. And of
Right.
course, I'm sorry.
If I could just say one thing for members of the planning board, our main concern here is that this is very near the aquifer. Okay?
It's over the aquifer.
No,
Yes, it is.
not according to,
I have a report. I forgot to bring it, but it is over an aquifer. That extends from Samerton to Silver Lake, and it's documented.
Okay, I think you guys are both right. Jane's referring to the Aquifer Protection District, and the Aquifer Protection District is half of this property is within about half of the property is within the Aquifer Protection District. And I think Jerry's mentioned that his intent is to stay out of that. So, yes, it's over an aquifer, but it's where he's working is
You're talking
actually
about
not
the
over the
groundwater
aquifer
protection, yeah.
protection.
yeah.
Right,
That's
the
groundwater protection area.
district, right.
And I guess, and if you notice, like these pictures, this is where we said they could put the campgrounds, I believe.
Yep.
Okay? So it's mostly that area. Now, I got a question, where were you planning to put the structure
Structure?
for the dump part?
All we're using is the site itself.
Okay.
We're not building a structure there.
Okay, you're not building
It's
structure.
basically to stockpile snow.
All right.
Before you go further, I am in butter on 2 properties of this. And I never got noticed as a butter, you know.
I got 2 things signed from you.
Not by me.
No, but it's someone who was at your house and signed for it.
Were they over 18?
I don't know, I can show you the card.
It wasn't me.
It was that dog you're so mean to.
I think it was, I feel like it was a male, but I don't exactly remember the
Problem
name.
is, Kathy, you abut to almost everybody in town, so.
No,
There
just
you
this
go.
one, across the street, beside it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop, get it off on this, I just wanted to let people know where it was. and-
Okay.
But everybody needs to know, I'm the abutter to the east, and I'm the abutter, they're about across the street partially.
Mhm.
And I don't feel I need to recuse myself because it doesn't affect what I'm doing on my property. I've got commercial development going on beside here.
Mhm.
Ooh, sorry. All right.
It's in Belknap Landscape's best interest to do this responsibly. That's why I'm here. I work closely with New Hampshire DES to be sure we're meeting salt restrictions on all the properties that we service. We are NHDS certified for a salt application. We were among the first commercial applicators in the state to stop falling in suit with the Salt Reduction Act. Last year, we did meet guidelines for salt application on our accounts.
Set those guidelines,
Please.
you set those guidelines to reduce salt application.
New Hampshire DES, and it's the, it was a law that was passed within the past couple of years. And it's under a voluntary for contractors to come on board, get certified. First, they have to go through the Green Snow Pro certification, and that's a class that you have to go through. You get that certification, and then you move on to the New Hampshire DES certification. Each of your applicators are supposed to be, in order to meet the guidelines, each of your applicators need to be certified, in which mine were last year. And you have to report in at the end of the year your salt usage in your different towns. We met the restriction on the guideline. I had to report in by June. And also you have to meet the restriction of your application rate per acre. And their restriction falls in the range of, I believe it's 0.18 to 0.21 tons per acre. We came in about 0.19. So it's considerably, it's helped us as well as helping the state. And also, it also helps our clients. Much of what Belknap Landscape does, we're looking out for the environment. That's the type of company we are. That's the type of owner that we have, David McLaughlin. He's very much for maintaining the environment, especially for New Hampshire.
What are you going to do on this site to control the salt from permeating into the soils and the groundwater? There is a brook that runs through, that abuts this property, runs down to the swamp, and then, of course, that all drains into the lake.
Surrounding this whole area, we have to do a silt fence. On any areas that you have a pitch heading away, we will burn with wood chips, so you have better filtration.
But that's not gonna prevent the water, the salt that is diluted in the water from percolating into the soil and entering the groundwater.
It will enter into the ground. However, the sand will help filter it. Your filtration fence, that will help filter it. Your wood chips will help filter it. Number one, the simple fact that we're using less salt, we're using a treated salt on these accounts. As a matter of fact, all our accounts, I'm doing away with straight salt, I'm going with treated salt. Treated salt, what this does for you, number one, you're using less on the property. You can use less each application, and you can use less overall. It starts its own temperature, where salt, it only goes down to 18 degrees, and you need something to get it to react. Treated salt, it reacts on its own, it's creating its own heat. So and I guess in essence what I'm saying is we're using less salt material to treat for snow and ice and so on.
How long do you plan on using this site?
Right now, we're looking to lease it for the next 2 years, and with possibilities of extending from there to see. And of course, it's only for the 5-6 months of winter.
Have you explored any type of bladder use to prevent the salt from percolating into the groundwater?
Would you
Being
mean?
contained in the soils above the bladder? Canada's been using that kind of technique. They've also been using lagoons to evaporate the soil out of the waters.
I haven't seen anything like that in New Hampshire or the Northeast. Unfortunately, the cost of an operation like that would be difficult. If that's where this industry has to go, then our estimating needs to go in that direction.
How high is the snow gonna be? I mean, it seems like it'll fill up awfully quick. If are you gonna be building like
Yeah,
Belknap there?
we do tend to stack it on site. We may go 25 to 30 feet high. I believe this area here, I remember measuring it off, but I can't say for sure. I believe this is close to 5 acres or 4 acres, in which we could that could satisfy our needs. Of course, if we have a heavy winter and we get overfull on that, then we would have to seek other sites.
I was gonna just ask if you had other sites, or is
We
this?
we do have a backup. We do have a backup site that we lease in Belmont. However, it isn't large enough to contain all the snow that we have.
You gonna gate this?
There is currently there's
There's a cable.
cable going across. If I suppose we could if we.
Supposed to be no trespassing.
Yeah, we could.
It just looks like it. How's the snow attract children?
Yep.
I believe that we have a conservation commission that's meeting, is it next week?
Yep, that,
And
a week from
I
yesterday.
think that in good conscience, we should send you to the conservation commission before we make any ruling at all.
Mhm.
Is the board agreeable to that?
One more
I have
question.
a couple questions
You've,
too.
you've talked about, are you only gonna be bringing snow from places where you have laid down the salt?
Yes.
So you won't, if someone calls you that, they need their parking lot cleared and you don't treat that parking lot,
This will be coming from our clients. Yeah, and so we know what's been going into it. I would also add that the sites that these are coming from, they're normally clean sites, so you shouldn't see a lot of trash. We do maintain the site from time to time, especially towards the end of winter, coming into spring. We're on the site weekly to clean up trash as things are melting, to complete melt off. So the site is left as we got it in the fall.
What will you do to contain the site in a sudden meltdown in the spring, like a 100-year storm event, 50-year storm event? Sudden rise in temperature to prevent all that runoff from leaving the site, entering the little brook and the wetlands behind it?
All we can do is any runoff areas that we do have on the site, we can burn it up. That's something that we're gonna go through the site at the beginning to prepare the site. Like I said, on the back side of it, there's an area there that should be burned off. There is a couple of areas on the right-hand side that there may have been some washouts that we'll deal with also. We want to make sure that yeah, everything is going to stay contained. I would say that this berm would be probably 3 to 4 feet high.
You're gonna burn the entire
Um,
back and west side?
We're gonna burn the back. You have about half of the back that's already pitching towards the road, so that's naturally contained. Along the right-hand side, there'll be areas that'll be, need to be burned, chewed up, because that's somewhat of a fall-off, and we do have some washouts.
The reason you couldn't burn the whole back side and west side?
Yeah, we could possibly do that, yeah.
That's an active snowmobile corridor through there.
Is it?
Yeah, they come down through my property.
Do
So
they
you
go
make-
over that plateau?
Yeah.
Can that be diverted?
I think it has to be. If you're gonna use that for snow in there, I think it should be.
If
No
we-
trespassing, something.
If we help give them guidance through there to get them through, offering signage to keep them away from the operating space, what would you feel about that? I would say, I would like to try to get them closer to the road, because naturally we're gonna start from the back and work our way out.
No, if they didn't use that property, the only other option would them to use the property my brother and I own next to it.
And you don't want them on that property?
I don't think he does.
Okay. I don't.
But I'm just letting you know, I mean, you know, we could, offer them alternative routes, but you just need to know that
Yep.
snowmobiles come down through there.
Yeah.
And I don't particularly allow them to come through my property, I just haven't stopped them because they're not hurting anything so far.
Given the operation that we'll have with the snow piles and all that, knowing that, I would want it well posted and try and direct them around it. We wouldn't want any casualties, so.
No, and that would be appealing to
Right.
some.
Right.
Oops.
Hmm.
Yeah, it would be very appealing.
You would like that.
Oh, yeah, man, all over that.
So we're gonna continue this until after the Conservation Commission?
We'll
Is
entertain
that
a motion
the
to do that.
consensus?
Does everybody think that's a wise thing to do?
I'll make a motion to ask Belmont Landscaping to go to the Conservation Commission for input.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
It's continued to October 28th, that's part of the motion.
Yep. Continue to October.
Whatever, it's,
So we'll see you the 28th.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, I appreciate you.
I should tell everyone my graduate research was in chloride, and particularly road salt, so you should applaud me on keeping my mouth shut this whole time. I've had plenty of little stories to share, and I managed to keep myself quiet.
Good man. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I spent a lot of time a year ago talking to all kinds of road agents and DES people in Alaska and Canada, and Canada probably is the one country that's beginning to actually do something about keeping those road salts out of the environment. But as you said, what they're doing, the dollar sign attached to it's huge.
How many acres was that business park that we owned, where we were gonna use this snow?
We still own it.
How many acres was it though?
Monday
Is it?
night,
Monday night.
yeah.
Here.
wanna say
I
six-ish.
don't know, honestly.
Because that was $17,000, I remember that figure.
Well, that wasn't mine, that was just.
That was on the bladders,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, thank you. Oh, that's Dari. Thought you were leaving us.
I'm gonna get him,
Thanks, Dari, see ya.
I'm gonna get him contact information for the
All right.
conservation commission.
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation.
I want no complaints if my pig comes and visits.
And very, and sorry that you had to go through all the other.
No
All
problem.
that.
She does too.
She wanderer.
Across the road, she goes across the road.
She did one time this summer. I had to wait until there were no cars and I did a real quick picky and she ran real quick and across.
Does everybody have a copy of the minutes for the
Like,
Yes. Well, no, but I saw it.
September 23rd?
yeah, I just told somebody about the permanent yard sale. Nobody has that road plastic at all. Brand new.
No, there's a sign on the wall.
Yeah, there's a sign.
Yeah.
It's got some garage there.
Well, I thought we were talking about the sign that says.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That yard sale is
Have a good night. Thank you.
donation for concrete, it's like the garage.
Oh, is that what that is?
You know, that,
Oh, that's Dunkin' Donuts.
yeah.
I'm talking about some tomorrow.
Well, we,
Got 4 to 5 cars
I
all
thought
around.
that Al had gone, we'll talk about it, but I thought Al had gone down there and let him know that that was not allowed.
Two of them down there.
I'll tell you that later. Yeah, there are two. One had dried up for a while because I watched it, but now that's back again. All right, review the September 23rd, 2014 minutes. I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Oh, I see it, okay. You need a second or?
No,
did.
Wait,
seconded.
second.
I did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So they have to abstain. All right, correspondence. We have one thing that I think our land use assistant is going to be attending. This is the forest laws for municipal officials. It's on Thursday, November 6th.
Who's
So
sponsoring it?
it's the UNH Cooperative Extension. So
Really?
it probably will be really good.
Nancy Flyer?
And you may, after I look at it, because I think I would like to go also. Okay? It says who should attend: selectmen, town clerks, tax collectors, assessors, code enforcement officers, just about everybody who works for the town. So I would like to go also, so would you make sure that,
Yeah,
Or-
they're not providing lunch, so
Yeah.
I don't, we're gonna have to deal with that, but yeah.
they're not
They're
providing
not
lunch?
providing lunch, just bring your own, so
Where's it at?
I'll be filling my trunk with food, but I should be.
Chesterfield.
Oh,
So are we gonna
Fill in
get,
your trunk with food.
are we gonna get a presentation?
Enfield?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Enfield I determined was the closer.
We'll film it.
Isn't
How's
Enfield?
Yeah,
Is it
Why don't
4A?
we, then you can come and you can film.
Yeah, I think
it.
so.
I'll film it.
I was actually gonna, yeah, I was gonna take
Oh, it says Route
25.
4.
Just.
Yeah.
I'm just outside of Anvil for Enfield.
It's just.
If it's on Route 4.
It's,
Just before the London.
It's just, yeah, it's just, no, it's the other side, it's next to Lebanon.
Will you sign up for the town car?
Enfield? No.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
it's that thing,
I
they
think
let
so.
them in hands with that one.
We'll take the
Town
town
car.
car, Catherine.
I don't even catch.
Trying to see when it is. Oh, November 6th.
Well, there's
Thursday.
two, right? Are they both on the same day?
Thursday's not good.
The
Selectmen
one in,
meeting, is that the one
November
tonight?
6th is a Thursday.
There's Lebanon, that's Enfield right
Right, where's Route 4?
there. Route 4 goes in the very
Right.
northern part of Enfield. And then most of it's to the south.
Where's the London?
In London would be.
Man, did you just mess up mine?
New London's not, I don't think New London's that far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
So
7:30 in the
just outside of
morning.
Andover.
Andover, There's nothing in between. Grafton, or, you go to Grafton.
You
45
know we're
minutes?
new, you know we're in his Cadlin. We went there when we went
Oh,
somewhere.
Las Let's in Enfield, right?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Las
Las Let's in Enfield and the.
What's that, a military
No,
academy?
it's a shrine.
Not
Catholic
quite.
Shrine! Our Lady of Las Let's.
Yeah.
They do a nice
And
Christmas
the,
lights.
Quaker.
Yeah, there's a,
In
there's a big,
Enfield.
is
That's
it
the
Shaker?
Roma.
Is it Shaker?
Shaker, it's Shaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next thing, other business. And I am not feeling very well, so I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
No correspondence?
Absolutely.
That was it.
That was it.
Oh,
You
wow, it was like 2 weeks in a row.
I think I'm going to go to the hospital
I
now.
think that's quite a good idea.
no,
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah, it's certainly not bad.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
What?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go turn.
Good girl. Push the red button and shut the.
You'll let us
What's
know
the
what.
matter?
I put my things, something.
Coffee that.
I
You
only
gonna be able
have,
to drive her?
I can go